Like last night, we began WNBA 365 folks with more breaking news. The Associated Press has reported and has been confirmed by a few sources with the Dodge situation that more awards have been confirmed by the Associated Press and a few other sources. That Sandy Fondello, the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, and her star center, Brittany Griner, will be taking home Coach of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year awards, respectively. We'll have more about that later on. But in that case, good evening, WNBA and LA Sparks fans, and welcome in to the first night of the WNBA playoffs here on WNBA 65 Playoff Central. Joined in the hangout by Chris Clancy at the Earnhardt Studios of Anaheim, California. And, of course, off the bench again for the postseason run here is Crystal Thomas from Los Angeles, California. Crystal, how's it going tonight? And how did you enjoy those first two games?
It's going well. The games are really interesting. I'm surprised that these games won by like 5 or less points. It's really competitive though. That's how I like it.
Chris, I know everything's going well up there in Anaheim. I know that your Angels won again, and I know that you were flipping between the Angel game and the WNBA postseason games tonight. But other than that, how's everything else going today?
Very awesome. And exhausted. 2 playoff games. That's hard.
Yeah, it was a very, very tiring day, folks. We'll have recaps of both games. We'll recap the 2015 WNBA draft lottery that took place today. Talk a bit about Milo winning the MVP trophy today, and about who was nominated for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. So we'll get to our first game tonight, which was was a bit sloppy on both ends, but the Indiana Fever, who had a lead early and succumbed a bit in the second half, came back to beat the Washington Mystics 78-73. It was a very, very thrilling contest tonight at Baker's Light Fieldhouse. Our line score for the Mystics, 13 in the first, 23 in the second, 14 in the third, and 23 in the fourth quarter, game total of 73. For the Fever, 22 in the first, and a major drop-off, 8 in the second quarter, 17 in the third, and a whopping 31 points in the fourth quarter of action. Crystal, we'll go to you before we get to all the numbers here, but this was a very, very sloppy game on both ends. A lot of turnovers, a lot of fouls called, a few technical fouls assigned, and it was basically a game of run by a lot. Indiana got ahead and they cooled off drastically in quarter two, rallied back to salvage game one. So your thoughts about game one between Washington and Indiana?
I think game one proves how young Washington is of a team. They had a pretty decent. You know what? Indiana had a pretty decent, and now that you know how Washington's a really good team to bounce back. I don't know if Indiana thought Washington was going to be.
Chris, this was a game that really needed someone to kind of clean up the floor afterwards, because there was a lot of turnovers in this game, a real sloppy game on both ends, a lot of turnovers, close to the point where you thought you were at the grocery store and you saw a bunch of spills along every aisle there, because half the time it was bad passes, it was deflected balls, it was airball shots. There was a lot of things that had occurred in this game. But Chris, it's more so again what we talked about back on July 28th after the Sparks beat the Fever was, again, the Fever jumped out on LA quickly and again dropped that lead. And again, it also reminded me a lot when the Sparks went to Indiana, how the Fever had that 13-point second-half lead and let it go down the drain. And I know you probably didn't catch most of the first game, but your thoughts are at least about the box score, at least we may have caught in that game, about kind of like, how bad this game was as far as all-around play, and also this was a playoff game we watched too tonight as well.
Just going back and forth, players, and Indiana took.
Yeah, I think Indiana pounced on the Mystics again, and this is what I tweeted too earlier tonight, that I did say that the Fever's postseason experience would get them through the series in either 2 or 3 games. Going to the stats real quick, folks, in this contest, field goal percentage-wise, Washington, a full 43%. The Fever shot 38.8%. Three-point shooting favored the Mystics at 33%. And Indiana only 25% of their threes. Free throw shooting was a bit atrocious for both sides of the story. 86% for Washington and 80% for the Fever. Total rebounds, 9-8 Indiana. And Crystal, real quick here, kind of breakaway off the numbers here, something that I also did tweet about on my personal account because I was running both my handle and the network handle, was that the Fever were all over the defensive last time, which I think was a X factor for them playing this game because they had a lot of their big bodies down low. Especially Tamika Catchings, who was all over the place in quarter 1, set the new playoff record for rebounds at 792, passing the late great Lisa Leslie. Is that a turning point of this game with Indiana having all those offensive rebounds really early and really towards the end of the game?
And I think it is. If you can't rebound, you can't get the ball back. If you can't get the ball back, you can't score. I would say they were very much strong on the rebound. I don't know if it's one. There was one thing where they were for rebound, and just comes to prove that they're getting in the right spots, they're boxing out. You have to remember, Indiana's actually have bigger players, and it's so
Chris, going to the number again, 12 offensive rebounds. This is probably one of the better offensive games I've seen so far in the postseason. Of course, I don't play 10 games tonight, but I think all around is some of the games I caught in the regular season, all the Sparks games, everything across the board on NBA TV, that this is probably the best offensive rebounding game I've seen all year because the Fever did their job on the boards, but also they basically kept every possession alive in a way where there was either a deflected ball, there was a pass, there was a lot of good ball movement during their possessions in the game. And again, 12 offensive rebounds, Chris, really speaks volumes about this. What are your thoughts about the Fever cleaning the glass and getting those 12 offensive rebounds in the game tonight?
Well, I didn't watch the game pretty much all game because I was
But Chris, all around, regardless of regardless if you watch the first game or not, man, what does it say though about a team that can pick up 12 offensive rebounds in a game?
Unreal and real.
Yeah, very good game played by the Fever who won the offensive rebound. I did get a DM, by the way, guys, from Shorty. She said some minor technical difficulties, and now she'll be in a few minutes, hopefully. Back to the big picture here, the overall turnovers, 16-10 Washington. Fast break points, 13-6 in favor of the Mystics. Biggest lead of the game, Washington led by as much as 8. Indiana at 10. And both teams finished with 32 points in the paint. Player stat-wise, Hardy Lotta amassing all 22 points for the Mystics. Kevin Vaughn had 8 rebounds and Lotta had 5 assists. 2 players with 2 steals and 2 players that had blocked for the Mystics for the Fever. It's Tamika Catchings with 22 points, Arlena Larkins 11 rebounds. 4 players tied with 2 assists. And Catchings had 7 steals in the game, and 4 players had blocked in that game tonight. So we have to win the Fever. Put the Mystics on the brink of elimination. They can win the series during Game 2 on Saturday at Verizon Center. Game time is set on Saturday at 5 o'clock p.m. on ESPN2. That is 2 o'clock on the West Coast. Now, Crystal, all-around take of the game here again. Again, a game that will be remembered a bit for being very sloppy. Give a call to the clean department, at your local grocery store to come out and clean the arena because a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad play on both ends, but again, the Fever or so. Again, having that early lead, losing it towards the middle, but this time picked it up and put up those 31 points to win Game 1. What is your thought, though, now about Game 2 on Saturday back in our nation's capital?
I think Washington might end up getting the game. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I do think that Indiana might possibly run away with the series because
Chris, what are your thoughts going forward here, knowing that the Mystics have their backs to the wall here? Once again, they're out of the postseason running. Again, Chris, it's a game that's going to be remembered for being a very sloppy contest, a lot of turnovers, and yada yada yada, and all that other garbage. What is your thought, though, about Game 2 as it shifts from Indiana to DC?
I think it's probably gonna be another game down to players. That's
Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think the series does go 3. In my view, I mean, it's just the way it's looking right now at this point in time. It's going to go 3 because I think there is Saturday night back in DC. And the other game we have to talk about, of course, is the first game of the Western Conference semifinals. In a game that looked like a blur early that became a nail-biter towards the end, the Minnesota Lynx hold on to the skin of their claws, the San Antonio Stars. 88-84, the final score for the Stars, 16 of the first, 2 of the second, and 23-31 for Minnesota, 24 in the first, 16 in the second, and then 25 across the board for 3 and 4 in that game. We'll get to the game stats first before we get to the recap of the game here. Field goal percentage for San Antonio, 51.5% for the Lynx. Brought down to the opposite of shooting-wise, 48% for behind the three-point line, 40% for the Stars, and 33.3% for the Lynx. They go shooting way off by 72% for San Antonio and 93% for Minnesota. Total rebounds in 8-5 Stars. Offensive rebounds 13-7. So Crystal, in both games, the home team dictated the boards again with Indiana having 12 in the first game. The Lynx had 13 of them tonight. So again, so far it looks like teams have sort of turned on or turned up their offensive rebounding so far through the first 2 games of the postseason. It looks like, dude.
I agree, and we let you know how important being on the glass really is. If you can't get off the field like I said, you can't score. A lot of times, your team will come off the offensive rebound, and
Chris, I mean to interrupt. There was a bit of a problem. There's been a bit of a problem a little bit with, I think, all of us so far. It sounds like Chris told me there was a bit of audio problem, so I'm trying to adjust that real quick for all of us. So I think we're good. We'll go back to you. I said just a quick little thing here. Go on and proceed.
Okay.
You're all good. You can keep going.
Okay. All right. Yeah, like I was saying, I let you know that offensive would mean a lot to the game. I think offensive having, even when passes, this is important, is having a bench that can go for your starting point. If you can't, get a rebound, you can't score, and that's what it is.
Chris, I think there's been more of a offensive-based approach here to the first 2 games, and you've noticed that teams have really worked on offensive rebounding, and both teams that win the department combined for 25 combined offensive rebounds between the Lynx and the Fever in game 1 that won that contest. And by the way, again, the home team won both games today, so that will be home for tomorrow's 2 games. But Christian, I mean, we're going to go back to more time again. Your thoughts again about offensive rebounding so far through the first 2 games of the postseason series so far?
What?
Your thoughts once more about offensive rebounding being a big key in both games so far?
That's very good. The offense.
So getting back to the numbers again here. So again, 13-7 offensive rebounds for the Lynx. Turnover, wow, 15-8 in favor of San Antonio. Just wow, all playing that game as well. Fast break points, 17-8 Minnesota. We'll get to probably the play of the year in just a moment. But get to the game, San Antonio led by 3. Early in the game, Minnesota led by as much as 15 points in the paint, 44-40 in favor of the Stars. Player stat-wise, Kayla McBride, 10 points, Danielle Adams, 10 rebounds, Danielle Robinson, 6 assists, Sophia and Malcolm, 2 steals, and Adams also had 2 blocks. Robinson found herself in major foul trouble in this game. For the Lynx, Anthony Panmeyer, lower 26. 2 players had 7 rebounds, 11 assists. 2 players with 3 steals and 9 more also with 2 blocks. Crystal, at the Stars real quick, I mean, this is, basically like David versus Goliath here so far with the 2 and 3 seeds playing. Now, the Stars hung around early in the game. You know, they were up by 3 for a bit before that lead dash in front of the Rise. And early in that first half, though, they weren't hanging around for a game. You know, down 10, down 13, down 15, you know, down by as much as 15, and they were able to rally back all the way, to basically, 2 or 4 points. You know, I mean, it's saying something that they're not going to walk over, as a lot of people think it's going to be a walkover for the Lynx. What was your thought, though, about how the Stars sort of got down a lot, but were able to come back and win the game, that were able to come back, though, and unfortunately just kind of fall towards the end there? I think they ran out of gas, though, perhaps, as well.
I actually think the Lynx thought this was going to be an easy ride for them. I mean, you can't count on any team with Becky Hammond. I mean, she's going to be a Hall of Famer one day, and she shows you why. She rallied her troops and she got the team going a little bit. I actually thought they were going to come back. I was rooting for them a little bit. I actually thought they were going to come back, and I think it's going to steal a game. I don't see a sweep. I mean, it wasn't surprised the way that San Antonio actually played. I expect them to win at least one game.
Chris, you might as well stop complaining about my audio again, because there's no way for me to adjust as soon as the being as loud as I can talking to you right now. But at the same time, Chris, again, the Stars were there early, and basically, the Lynx, took over the leadership for the first part of the game, Chris. The Stars sort of had that, relentless / never give up mindset, and they almost did come back tonight. I mean, they got within a few towards the end of the game. I just think they ran out of time, and I think that there was some nerves, though, by a few players on the Stars, especially rookie Kayla McBride. Danielle Robinson in major foul trouble all night tonight. She had racked up 4 fouls through the first 3 quarters, so she was a bit out of her zone. Chris, you knew it. For San Antonio was looking down below, cleaning the glass either offensively or defensively. But Chris, what was your thought, though, of how the Stars rallying back to get within a few points of beating the Lynx night in Minneapolis?
Just very unreal. Lynx from the money. And almost won the game.
Yeah, it looks like tonight might be just one of those nights, folks. So far, again, we try to, we've been increasing volume on some people, and then tonight it looks like we're just having audio. I know most of it going good, but it seems like either I'm too loud. Chris, you're also having problems too, because you keep breaking as well. So it's probably just one of those. It's kind of like just one of those days. But we're surviving through it, and we're going to pull through it here, folks. And this might be like one of the maybe the worst quality editions of the show, but we're not perfect. We're not going to be having a 1,000% share on the network anytime soon. We're going to be probably at 900 after tonight. We'll see what happens tomorrow, perhaps, or off here when we get some of these things fixed out. Now, of course, the talking point, ladies and gentlemen, was the presentation of the 2014 WNBA Samsung Most Valuable Player before the game tonight to Ryan Ward, the star forward of the Minnesota Lynx tonight. Again, Crystal, very worthy, probably the only person that was really worthy of the MVP trophy this season after putting up over 30 points in 12 consecutive WNBA games this season. I'll tell you what, there's no one better to win the award this year on a team that is destined to be the first team in 12 years to go back-to-back with winning WNBA titles in Minnesota. And she played a great game tonight. We'll get to one of the reasons why in just a moment. But again, Crystal, seeing Maya Moore hoist the MVP trophy tonight at Target Center, your thoughts and reactions about Maya Moore winning the 2014 MVP award for the season?
She deserved it. She was, like you said, she was the only player worthy of the MVP. They just giving the award. I mean, the only other person that could give it to was roster. But she was worthy of it. I think she almost broke the record for the most 30-point games in a season or something like that. She carried her team. And that's half of the reason why they're in the playoffs.
Chris, I know that apparently something's been going on with us too in regards to either myself joining the Mercury bandwagon, or apparently now you're joining the Lynx bandwagon for some reason. But what was your thought, though? Again, 30 plus, the 12 straight 30 plus point games for Ryan Moore this season. Certainly had, came with a purpose. Feeling that she felt snubbed last year when Candace Parker didn't win the MVP last season, but there really was no competition for Maya this season. Maybe Tawasi did in second place, but this award had her name engraved on the trophy after week one of the season. I think your final thoughts about Ryan Moore winning the 2014 WNBA MVP award tonight?
No question. My award is went off, and that's all.
Well, in case you're wondering, I could probably only think about audio problems on my side of me being too loud in Chris's ear, perhaps because I was using a headset for my computer. So I was calling the baseball team over in Hawaii on my vacation. That might be like the only thing I can really think of for a problem with my side of audio. We'll get those worked out there again, folks. I mean, we're not going unbeaten here on the network. We're going to lose a few shows here and there. It might be one of our few losses, I think, on the network so far. So our 1,000 viewers will take a hit tonight. It seems like. Again, the final scores in the open games of the 2014 WNBA postseason: Indiana 78, Washington 73, Minnesota 88. And San Antonio 84, both games tonight finishing with deficits of 5 or less points tonight. Games tomorrow in the WNBA postseason. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals between the number 4 seed Chicago Sky and the number 1 seed Atlanta Dream. Game time set for 4:30, and at 7 o'clock tomorrow, the LA Sparks will take on the Phoenix Mercury. Game time is set for 7 p.m. on NBA TV. Both games can be seen, by the way, on NBA TV or in Sports TV. You can also catch it on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet with Jim Watson and Mary Murphy. Guys, if you look to tomorrow's games, okay, Chicago, Atlanta, the first game on the schedule tomorrow. Crystal, your thoughts about the series with Chicago and Atlanta? What do you have in store, or what do you think is in store for the first game tomorrow between the Sky and Dream?
I would actually like to see Chicago win. I would like to see them go to the second round. Since that this is their only second time being in the playoffs in their whole existence. So I'd love to see them go further. And plus, I'm kind of tired of seeing Atlanta in the finals. They get there like every year, so I think it's time for another team to get at least close.
Chris, this might be a problem that the WNBA is going to have to think about, or something that actually I think will keep people away from the finals, is if the same teams keep getting into the WNBA finals year after year. Now, I don't know what they can do to sort of fix that problem, but they're going to have to do something, because I think that's one thing, Chris, that will turn people off from the league, is if the same teams to the final series, which has been Atlanta the past 3 seasons, as has Minnesota the past 3 years. Atlanta getting back there in 2011 and the past season, 2013, when the Fever got there in 2012. But Chris, what are your thoughts about the series between the Sky and Dream that begins tomorrow in Atlanta, Georgia?
We also and black all the way time. Next, our former coach, Mike Cooper, big ball players, the Mike Cooper, our team,
Chris, if you want to complain about me, I'll complain about you. You're also having problems too with your audio. You keep breaking up as well. So before you complain about the host, complain about yourself first, or check your problems first before you. I got the host of the network here as well. Then, of course, Crystal and Chris, the night game tomorrow night, which could be ugly in a small fashion, perhaps, but you never know. We're going to, of course, see the Los Angeles Sparks against their longtime rivals, the Phoenix Mercury, who are the overall number 1 seed in the WNBA this year after posting a 29-5 record at Game 7 o'clock on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet and NBA TV. Crystal, I don't know about this one. I mean, this might be ugly. I think the Sparks, I mean, I give them a fighting shot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that LA has it, I'm going to give LA a shot at least because they are because they are all of our teams here, except for Chris, we think, because I don't know what's going on with him right now, joining the Lynx bandwagon right now for no reason. But I mean, Chris, I mean, at the same time, I mean, you want to be optimistic about the series, but you got to be realistic though too. And tomorrow might be Clorox, Pine Sol. I'll let you think of something. But your thoughts though about game one between LA and Phoenix, two longtime WNBA rivals that kicks off tomorrow night at the Purple Palace, a.k.a. Nellis Airways Center tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
I'm with you. I give us a chance. I have faith in my team. We've been there before, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out horrible.
You know, I mean, as much as, I want to say LA again, folks, I cannot be, the homer pick here. The next guy is going to be that's going to be talking here in a few minutes. I mean, but yes, I give them a chance. But again, folks, and realistically, and following rules of broadcasting school, I cannot be biased. I cannot have a bias towards anything, so I have to be neutral, objective, and unbiased, and say that there really is no hope for the series. Regardless if you think I'm a Debbie Downer on being the my franchise, I'm not. I'm just following some guidelines put forward by my broadcasting school for this. And Chris, there is no shot. I know you think there is for some reason, but basically, man, okay, your thoughts about game one tomorrow, and your game plan, though, for the Sparks to go out there and somehow live up to the profile picture of your Twitter handle and the hashtag as well.
What? My connection.
Yeah, here you're complaining about me. Your game plan and your thoughts about game one tomorrow between the Sparks and the Mercury is what?
It's going to be a great series, great game. I think the Sparks are going to dig.
Yeah, so
again. Like this time, gotta beat the Mercury.
yeah, you know what? We're just gonna mute you and we're gonna go on from here. And Chris, by the way, too, we also mute you too, man, because your problems are way worse than Crystal's and Ryan's right now. So you gotta figure something out, man. But again, folks, Sparks Mercury tomorrow night. And my thought on the series, again, folks, is yes, I'm giving LA a very small chance to either win a game or somehow win the series, but realistically, folks, I just don't see it happening because the Mercury have owned everybody. Like Crystal said, though, a few nights ago, they have basically, every game has been, so easy. It's like them, cooking breakfast in the morning or tying their shoes or doing their laundry, basically, because that's what it's been like for the Mercury all season long. And I think the game plan is, or at least what my game plan would be, put all the tall people and try to cage the untamed tiger that is called Brittany Griner. Put Parker, put NECA, put everybody on her. I don't care if you have to freaking quadruple team her. Put people on her, because it might save you a few points. But at the same time, though, Crystal, there is other weapons other than BG. There is Diana Taurasi, of course, who's dangerous all over the court, and plus we could be seeing one at least tomorrow night, but we know because it is the postseason as well, so things are amplified a bit. But your overall though thought again, is there really a game plan though for the Sparks? So for anybody going forward though, knowing that they will have to play the Mercury either next round or perhaps in the WNBA Finals, what would be your game plan right now against the Phoenix Ball Club right now that is simply owning everybody in the WNBA this season?
As far as the game plan, you have to try to contain their three Griner and Taurasi. If you can contain them, you probably have a fair shot. Now, that's not going to be easy, but you can always try. I mean, you really don't have to worry about, not taking anything away from like Dash and anybody else, but you don't have to worry about things that you do with the Cream and Griner and Taurasi. The Cream was for a quiet 20 and you don't even know what happened. Have a player you didn't realize that she had a chance to get them shots off because of how smooth of a game that she had. So that's pretty much the game plan. try to stop those two. I mean, that's all you could really try to do.
I don't know if there's like a installed game plan, but I think what I would do, Crystal, is early and often, set the pace of your defensive game, whether you want to go to a zone defense, which the last time I recall seeing a zone defense in a game was when San Diego State was playing New Mexico for the Out West Conference title in men's basketball this year, and Crystal, San Diego was getting annihilated in this game. They went basically on a 19-0 run, and they switched to a zone defense and shut down UNM. I think it's either a zone or you got to just put all your skyscrapers on Brittany Griner. I mean, Parker did it last season in that when Griner hit the go-ahead basket, and there was no chance for her because Griner still had the height on Candace. I mean, I also think you got to put Parker in. Can you put Parker on her? I mean, I think you just start going with double teams, triple teams early in that game. I know it might hurt you because you hit the ball away and pass over the teammate, but Crystal, you never know. I mean, if you put 2 or 3 bodies on her, it might actually do wonders for you.
I mean, it might work. You could try to get very physical with them. I don't know. The only thing about that is you don't know which way the game is going to be called. You don't know how the refs are going to be. So you can't really say that until you see how the refs are in the game. But the team is so dangerous. I really never like to see. I think double teams, but single teams, how you look in this more. So I don't know that one, but I will agree. Slow down, but really, sometimes you don't come out of nowhere and options for anyone.
And folks, we will segue real quick here out of the WNBA circuit real quick to let you folks know that myself was challenged tonight for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge by a close friend of mine that works with the San Diego Soccer with me. So there will be a video tomorrow across my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram account tomorrow, and also we may be putting it on here as well as a little press pass Sparks action. Crystal, actually, we were talking about this, you and me and Shorty Lamba 24 last night for a few minutes about what this has done, and I know that this was more so about the K Yao Foundation, of course, which was the Children for Charity earlier in the summer, where every WNBA team partook in the event for breast cancer awareness, and then it basically expanded to a baseball player at Boston College who was also diagnosed with ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, and they basically put a spin on it, where now it's all for everyone to get involved with. And Chris, I know there's been some criticism of it because it's either gone on too long, or there's been talk about people that have done it that haven't donated. I've heard rumblings, that you have to donate and do a challenge where you can do the one challenge. I don't know, but Chris, what's your thoughts about people doing these viral videos, but at the same time, it does sort of raise awareness about something that's touched all of us in some small fashion, way, shape, form, and size.
I don't really see a problem with it. The only problem that I have with it are people who do it and don't donate. But other than that, I mean, if you're doing it all out of fun, go for it. I mean, I feel like it's for a good cause. As long as you're not doing anything that's not bringing any awareness to anything, then I don't see a problem with it. It seems like it's doing its job. It's raised a lot of money over the past couple of weeks, so they're doing something right.
Again, Crystal, I support anything that brings awareness to life-changing diseases like cancer. I was in a board meeting last night with the baseball team we work for in their media department, and we were thinking about foundations to reach out to. For one, and not to be rude, but the guy that was in charge of it said he doesn't want to do breast cancer awareness because some of them are cancer because they get so much money. And I think that if there's a way to raise awareness about something, I mean, the ones that are close to my heart, for one, is anything involving cancer, but also the Special Olympics and challenged athletes, because, these people, have gone through, hardship, along with cancer patients and survivors, of life-changing injuries sustained either during the war over in Iraq and Afghanistan, or, bad car accidents. And, of course, special needs kids are ones that I also always have fun spending time with. if you have not seen my the episode of Press Pass Sparks from June, you will have reach on the channel, folks, which was, I got to go back to my high school alma mater and talk about the Sparks, Candace Parker, and the WNBA in front of a full classroom of kids that have Down syndrome, autism, have special needs in their age at school. And Crystal, it's anything that you can bring awareness to, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation about artwork you've done that's on your walls, or just dicing yourself in cold water for something that you want to bring awareness to. And I'm totally for it. And I'm going to be doing live video tomorrow. I've got a small list of people. If you're not on the list, Crystal, so let me know. I'll have to take that tomorrow. I'll let you know tomorrow. But again, Crystal, whether people donate or, of course I'd say donate to the charity if you get challenged. But if some people, in some cases can't do it, they get challenged, I would say, do it, and, man, later on, then donate. Because, honestly, Crystal, I know that we would donate if we had, the bank account card somewhere. I do, but there's not a whole lot in it right now. But, I'm probably going to do, and I'll say it is, I'm going to do the challenge my people, and then later on, next week or Saturday or a few days later, then make my donation to the foundation for ALS. But Crystal, your last thoughts about this, because it certainly has been going viral all across the place. We've seen celebrities, athletes, singers, movie stars take part. Again, your thoughts about the challenge, because I know it's really close to the WNBA and women's basketball family, of course, with Kay Dow's death, and even with the late great Kim from the Houston Comets. But your last thoughts though about the ice bucket challenges that have really gone viral over the past few months and days, months and weeks, basically.
I think it's still good because they're, like you said, they're bringing awareness to stuff. If you didn't know what ALS was, I'm pretty sure a lot of people Googled it, and maybe just by looking at a video and make them want to donate themselves, even if they haven't been challenged. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that people are starting to see what it is, and that people are doing with it. I saw that and I donated to that too. But it could be good. I think it's very deep that people are doing the videos so they can, donate themselves.
So again, folks, I was nominated by a good friend of mine, so I will be taking the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge tomorrow. We'll have a video for you folks on a special edition of Press Pass Sparks tomorrow morning or afternoon, perhaps, here in the backyard there. And again, folks, unless there's a water shortage, I will be doing my challenge on the grass, so not wasting any water, and I won't get fined by the California Water Authority. Now, Crystal, we have big news, though, about tonight, which wasn't about news, though, but again, Crystal, tonight, though, we did have the 2015 WNBA draft lottery held from NBA TV headquarters in Secaucus, New Jersey, with the 4 teams that did not receive their invitations in the mail for the 2014 postseason party, which was the Seattle Storm, Tulsa Shock, New York Liberty, and Connecticut Sun. All got their lottery tickets out for a chance to score the number 1 pick for the 2015 draft. And Crystal in the lottery tonight, the Seattle Storm, for the 3rd time in franchise history, won the lottery to get the number 1 pick, followed by the Tulsa Shock, who got number 2, and then, yes, folks, back-to-back, the Connecticut Sun, because one of those picks is from the New York Liberty. Crystal, your thoughts about the Storm winning the lottery, and your last thoughts about the top 4 ordering, and knowing again that the retirement home traded their number 4 pick to Connecticut in that St. Charles trade earlier in the year. Your thoughts about the draft order for the first 4 picks of the draft lottery?
I think it's really impressive that the Storm has only been in the lottery 3 times. Not many teams can say that they've been in the lottery 3 times. That's actually pretty good compared to, let's say, how much Tulsa has been in the draft lottery since they existed. And I know New York has to be kicking themselves right now because they traded that pick not knowing that they would end up needing the lottery pick later on. So I know deep down inside that they're kicking themselves that way. But Connecticut is loving it. Connecticut is probably cheering in that front office. They're going to be watching purely the college games this year. And that's the thing about the draft. You never know. Everybody has who they think is going to go number 1, but during the course of the college season, anything could change, and that's the thing about college basketball that I love so much.
You know, looking back over the odds of the draft, and the Shock and Storm had the highest odds at 36% because both those clubs finished with the same record of 12-22 this year. Then Connecticut had the third best, and then of course we had a 10% chance with the first pick as well. And Crystal, I mean, sort of like what Shorty's Twitter name reads, the Tulsa Shock first. I mean, I don't know what is going on with that team. I think there's something about Tulsa since that club left Detroit. But again, they have been, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's sort of, I mean, I don't really want to make this comparison, but it's sort of, you know, the Shock kind of remind me, Crystal, of walking past, you know, a homeless person on the streets because they have been that way.
Homeless person.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, though, it's that comparison, though, because they have been that needy of a number one draft pick, and every year they've been in the lottery, they've been denied. I mean, this is, you know, 2 years in a row they're going to be picking number 2 again in the lottery. And I mean, is there something about Tulsa that's going on, you know, that we don't know about? I mean, what's your thoughts again about the Shock and getting snubbed again for that number one pick, and this year again we'll be picking 2 again in the draft this season?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I can really truly say is that they need an extra piece. They need help. I think what they really do though is really bench. I think their bench has a lot to do with them ending up in the places that they can end up in the past. Because I don't think it's their coach. I mean, the coach is Fred Williams. He's a good coach. I think they just got to work on their bench. I think that's the main reason why Colts is struggling so much. There's not so much you can do with that bench that they have. And Courtney Parrish is cool. You can leave her. They need a post. But everybody else, I mean, they might have to go, unfortunately. I don't like to see people get cut or fired, but that bench isn't helping a whole lot.
You know, honestly, I think the Shock, I mean, as much as it seems promising, Crystal, I just think that there's too much hype around that team, and they're not going to go very far for a few years. And I'm not saying that in any fashion to diss the Shock or the Shock fans by any means necessary. It's just, you know, an honest opinion that, you know, we can agree or disagree with. But I just think, though, that, I mean, you know, they've blown out so many coaches. They've had terrible seasons since they made that move to Tulsa from Detroit. And you know, I kind of wonder, I mean, are the players putting their whole heart and soul into the team? Because, frankly, I mean, again, Crystal, I'm not being hard on the Shock. I mean, but it's kind of like, you know, who really would want to play in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Crystal? It just looks like, you know, with Cam Gage not being there this season, regardless of who's for the FIBA games or not. I mean, I kind of wonder and doubt. I mean, kind of wonder, you know, I mean, if Skylar James wants to be here, to be honest with you, or even that team. There in Tulsa. I mean, do you think that there's perhaps, you know, I don't want to say like a mutiny or like anything about, you know, background of the organization, but is there like something though that's telling you that something doesn't seem that somebody's not like clicking with the Shock right now?
I mean, no, I would agree. I would agree with everything you said. I mean, I don't know. I could see people not really putting their all into it. You can see the players who really are putting their all into it. And, I mean, Tulsa has, 2 All-Stars, so they're capable of being a good team. They're capable of being a good team. I just don't know what it is. Nobody, a top 2 agent is not going to want to sign with Tulsa because you're not an affiliated team. You can't really sell them anything. You know, teams like Seattle and Connecticut and New York, you can sell them something. Even though they haven't, in New York, you know, they haven't really been how they're supposed to. They would sell a person to New York. You can't really sell a top pick to Tulsa. I mean, there's nothing there.
And this just popped in my head too that Crystal, unfortunately, the Shock right now kind of remind me of the Houston Comets in the later years after those first 4 titles. Because it seems like after their golden years when they had Tina in her prime, Cup in her prime, Kim Perret before she passed with cancer, and all their pieces in place from 97 to 2000, that they just completely fell off the face of the earth. I mean, it was just a team that no one knew about, and you know, players that we can remember best from the later years, like, you know, our good friend Ronnie Labika or Shannon Johnson towards the end of her career. This kind of, I mean, the Shock kind of remind me vaguely about the Comets post the first 4 years of the Cleveland championships, maybe their last goal as a franchise before they folded in 2009, because it just seems like when the Shock made that move, I mean, and I can even say this, that the Shock kind of remind me a bit of their later years in Detroit a bit too, as far as was with them kind of losing their star power, losing that voltage, that shock, you kind of say, to their spunk, basically. Crystal, would you think that this team kind of reminds you a bit about the Comets before they did finally fold, and also maybe the last years when the Shock were in Detroit before they did fold, or were fold/move to Tulsa at all?
I mean, I will. Every team, I can say that because every team that was once on top has horrible years. I mean, I'm a Bulls fan. We've had bad years for years, pretty much, after Jordan left. So I think it was just the Shock's time. I think they'll be back on top. I give Tulsa probably 2 more years and they'll make the playoffs. They probably won't, it won't be pretty, but they'll make it. They're capable. They almost made it this year by a little bit. LA was fighting with Tulsa pretty much to get the 4th spot. So they're missing something. Don't know what it is. Don't know if it's a player. Don't know if it's somebody up in the front office, but something's missing. And every year I always say that about Tulsa. Something's missing. You just don't know what it is.
I don't think we'll know the definitive answer. We may have to call CSI to get the definitive answer about what's missing with the Tulsa Shock sometimes. I mean, Chris, a little bit of team that got both 3 and 4 pick in the draft, which is the Connecticut Sun again. The 4th pick again, folks, is via WNBA retirement home, also known as the New York Liberty. Crystal, okay, they had McHale last year. I mean, this team, again, is probably going to be the youngest team for the 2nd straight year, at least here, with this roster that will get younger again. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it may be good for the regular season, Shorty, Crystal, with what's going on here with the Sun building all these young kids. But that, though, in my view, spells danger / see you later in the postseason because you don't have any veteran / postseason experience. And unfortunately, I can't say that NCAA tournament experience counts for postseason action. I can't say that because it's not the same level as it would be where you would be able to have another game after losing game 1 of the postseason. But again, knowing again that the Sun got 3 and 4, how much younger do you think this team is? Are we have to start having 18-year-old kids play with this team? I mean, what's going to happen next year?
You know what? I believe it or not, I think that youth is going to help them in the long run. They're going to be one of the youngest teams, so that means if everything goes right, they will have their core together for a long, long, long time. And I think people should look out for the Sun. I feel like the Sun, once they get everything together, once they figure it out, I think the Sun could be a contender. Don't know what place I was thinking in, but I think they will be replacing the New York spot. Right now, New York, before they get the playoff, New York is still, look at that team, like, okay, they say that's action and all this stuff. But I feel like I feel like Connecticut is going to be a top team.
I think the Sun are destined to get back in the postseason mix in a few years. It may take them maybe 2 to 4 to get back on track and get all the pieces in place. And right now, Crystal, some guy at that retirement home in New York is probably going, why do they make that trade to Tina Charles? Because it just seems like that there's something about Tulsa and New York not having any luck in the draft lottery. It just seems like for the past few seasons. And I think New York is not going to change their ways about their player pyramid anytime soon because they keep relying, as we talked about it the past few nights, they rely too heavily on old, outdated, dead battery players, basically between Kathy Pondexter, who I know she's in her 8th season. I don't know if she can keep going with her with a few injuries. When they had DMJ for half the season before she got traded to the Dream, when they brought in Swing Cash brought her in from Atlanta, and of course with Captain Tina Charles. I mean, at this point in time, Crystal, is there like any hope for the Liberty to get back on track anytime soon, or is bad luck going to continue to keep with one team?
There's hope, but they got to make a lot of adjustments. For one, he has to keep a draft pick on his team for more than training camp. For two, he has to make that team a little bit younger, which requires draft picks. And for three, he's got to build that big depth. Whether it's signing free agents, whether they're whether it's free draft or free trade, he's got to get something for that kid. You can't, Kathy and King are pretty much their only guards that they have. He's got to get heavier at the guard.
Crystal, I really have admired Kat, ever since she was with the Mercury, won those 2 titles in 07 and, in 2007, at least if I can remember off the top of my head, at least. I really have, liked her game, of course. And it just seems like ever since she went to the Mercury, she sort of became like a average / irrelevant player because she went to a team that really had struggled, post the early 90s and 2000s when they had made they made their first 4 appearances in the WNBA finals in 97, 99, 2000, 2002. It just seemed like that they kind of went down south, and I think as well that what they did bring in WNBA that made their head coach, that he was really a recipe for disaster. It sort of has been a disaster for the Liberty, dealing with all these aged veterans that really, frankly, Crystal, in my view, should be retired by now. I think maybe outside of Cat, but I think just because that they've been snake bit with injuries, quite often. There's maybe 1 or 2 young pieces, like a Anna Cruz perhaps who's in place for the future. But I think that the blueprint right now for Liberty is just keep bringing in old outdated players. Hell, there's the one that surprised me if Lisa Leslie went there to play 1 game and to be the oldest player. Nancy Lieberman came out of retirement to play again at like age 55 or age 60, like she did a few years ago with Phoenix when she was age 50. It just wouldn't surprise me, Crystal, if they kept banking on old players. And pretty soon, it wouldn't surprise me, if Hammond signed a 1-day contract to play a game next season with the Liberty to finish her career back in New York. Is there any hope for any younger talent? Because I think the one main piece so far that I can think of at least is Anna Cruz, who played very well in her first season from Spain. But other than that, there's no one else really in that nucleus of players that I think is going to help this team for the next few seasons. And plus, if you're going to keep trading your draft picks, you're not going to get much younger.
Yeah, not really. Other than Peter Charles, who I think is only Peter Charles, and Cappy. I think Cappy is like 29, so she's pretty young. Other than that, they don't have anybody, so they keep taking the draft picks away, or they keep cutting them in training camp. They're going to have to fight a trade, or he's just going to have to get these actually sign players this year. He's up there. They're going to want that team to get younger, because everybody on the team out there.
Crystal, right now the Sparks are slated to pick number 7 in the 2014-2015 WNBA draft lottery based on their 14-16 record. In our view right now, you've got the 7th pick right now. There's not a whole lot out there as far as fishing the pond goes right now for the WNBA draft. I'll have to go back and look at the draft board and see what's really out there. That Atlanta was one perhaps this one. Okay, Crystal, put yourself in Penny Toller's shoes real quick. Now you're picking 7, putting a under 500 season. You got into the postseason last. What are your draft day needs right now for the Sparks going forward and at the number 7 spot right now on the draft board?
Draft day needs. I don't know, because I don't want to say you need another guard. The only way you'll need another guard is if Harden leaves, which I wouldn't be surprised if she's known to go so that she could leave the Heat. But if I had to say this, it would be a good. I would say this is a obviously, we're not using this years, so I don't know how long. Don't know how long I've been has to say take off the straight since he's so good. Don't know how long she's been in the team. I would say we have to
Crystal, I think right now that it's kind of tough to sort of, pinpoint what's the need right now. I think forwards are fine between Candace and Mecca playing forward right now. I think the center position with Lav and Parker mixing, I think, is good right now. I think right now, pieces that are in place between Parker and Ano and Lab are going to be, that's like, the three main players. I think guard help, is what's going to be needed, because I think, with Wiggins' injury this season and the off-and-on play of Beard, who's getting up into the 11th season next year, as far as play goes, Lindsey Harding having a very, very subpar season. I think the guards are going to have to be addressed, I think, during the draft or over the offseason. You can try to trade for somebody perhaps who's out there. I'm maybe just guard help right now, because I think the Sparks have really killed at the guard position. Again, the injury of Wiggins earlier in the year. Lindsey Harding having a very, very poor season. Alana Beard's been there, kind of hit and miss, but again, she's getting up there in her age role, going to her 11th season next year in 2015. Our Lindsey Harrington has been there. She's probably been like one of the more consistent playing guard on the basis. So, Crystal, I'm going to say it's guard help for the time being right now.
I could agree. I could agree with that. But, you're not wrong. I would need to see what everyone does and what the offseason looks like. For me personally, to see where or what we would need or what they would need. I think you're right. I just can't determine that right now.
We may have to figure it out during our off-air meeting here very shortly, because I think these audio problems need to be addressed too when I get a chance to during. We want to fix a few things here. But folks, again, tonight was the opening night of the 2014 WNBA postseason. The final scores again tonight: both home teams win Game 1. Indiana 78, Washington 73, and for the Western Conference first game, Lynx 88, Stars 84. The Seattle Storm will win the 2015 WNBA Draft Lottery. Will pick number 1 followed by Tulsa, and back-to-back picks by the Connecticut Sun at 3 and 4. And again, tomorrow we will bring you folks a special edition of Press Pass Sparks, covering my ALS Ice Bucket Challenge tomorrow here at the studio here in San Diego. So, folks, with that, we will end the night here, because we do have to polish up a few minor hiccups we had tonight, folks. We kind of apologize for those minor issues we had with some audio. Probably just, again, folks, we're not going to win every game here or win every show on the network, so we'll take this as an L tonight to ruin our 1% percentage, folks. See you folks tomorrow night. Hopefully we can fix these problems, but until tomorrow night, folks, have a safe night. Drive home safely. Thank you all for coming and tuning in, and good night now. This has been WNBA 365 Playoff Central, covering Day 1 of the 2014 WNBA postseason. With 4 games tomorrow, back here 9 o'clock for Crystal Thomas. This was Nancy insuring on the 24th. Comic saying so long, and we'll see you folks tomorrow night back here on the LA Sparks 365 Network. We are Sparks, we are LA, and we are WNBA. See you folks tomorrow night for more WNBA Playoff Central. See you folks then. Bye-bye.